Hi there, Amanda Gibbs here, CEO of the African SAP User Group. Welcome to Conversation Starters. Today we introduce you to Rob Coombe, Group IT Manager at Royal Eswatini Sugar Corporation. Rob will be talking about the business strategy, the IT implementation, and how their teams actually made this all happen. So please enjoy it with us. And Louise and Rob, welcome.
Hi Rob,
Hi Louise,
very welcome here, freshly imported from Eswatini,
thank you very much.
representing Royal Eswatini Sugar Corporation. So thank you for joining us today. We really do appreciate it.
No, it's a pleasure.
I think before we start jumping into all things SAP around your very exciting project, can you maybe give our listeners and viewers a bit of an overview of Royal Eswatini Sugar Corporation?
Yeah, sure.
That'll be great.
So, Royal Eswatini Sugar is a sugar company. We have 33,000 hectares of sugar cane that we collect, and we generate sugar. We do brown sugar and white refined sugar. But on top of that, we also do alcohol, potable ethanol, which goes into some well-branded rums, but also into vinegar. And we, in the northeast of Eswatini, very hot, low-felt. We run all the villages, we run the schools, we run the clinics, we run the roads. So we really are part of the community in Eswatini. And it's a really good business to be in, and we're very happy with where we are at the moment.
Very diverse.
Very diverse, yes.
Okay, so Rob, I've got a few questions that I want to ask you, but I think for a start, I'm going to ask you to just explain the project that you guys did. I think it will already cover some of these, and I might make some notes, just because I don't always trust my mental notes, for questions that I might want to ask further. So if you can give me a bit of an overview of the project, that'll be great.
So ultimately what we're doing in the project is that we are migrating from our ECC. It was Suite on HANA on ECC, so we're migrating from that to S4HANA Public Cloud. We're taking our 1,100 odd users and we're migrating them into the cloud, into the public cloud. And we're doing that as a part of our digital journey, moving RES forward into the digital age. And that's the overview. Lots of modules, lots of interaction in the other aspects of the platform aspects of SAP, but the core is we're moving to S4 Public Cloud.
Okay, that is amazing, because that's something I certainly don't hear about that often, about companies to take that step to actually move into public cloud. How on earth did you guys get to sell that in a world where every business is unique, just like everybody else? Business people generally are like, no, we can't go with standard processes, it's going to break everything.
Definitely. So we started with the Exco. So in 2020, just after COVID, as soon as we were able to travel, we took the Exco offsite, and we said, what does it mean for RES to be digital? And I think that was key. So we're a primary industry. We don't have a big presence in the web. We're not very, sort of internet focused. But what does it mean for us to be digital? And we looked at parts of our business and we saw, okay, there's definite benefits in certain areas. And we then looked at, should we stay with SAP? Should we move to another product? We did that exercise. We said, no, let's stay with SAP. And then we said, okay, now we need a hand. Now we need to know what that would look like with the architecture. So we brought in a partner who did some work with us and helped us refine our vision, what we should be going. And out of that effort, we came up with the public cloud. I think the main reasons are it's not a differentiator in our business, but there are very good benefits from a cost efficiency perspective to move there. Persuading people that they're not different is an interesting one. Immediately after we'd made that decision, we then launched change management. before we even brought any S4 consultants in. So we launched the whole change management initiative. We also brought in consultants there. We changed the way we worked. We did a whole lot of things to make ourselves look different as a business. And I think that was key, thinking that we ran ahead of the project. Okay. We still get people saying, no, we need this, we're special. But in general, the business has accepted that they can use the public cloud. And I think the big benefit for us, or the big decision making there was, okay, so it's not as though we're going to be 100% stuck. We want to keep the core clean, because that for us there's no benefit other than from a cost efficiency perspective. But with the extensibility, with what SAP offer as tools to allow us to build maybe an odd thing here and an odd thing there, we could do it and still give the business the promise that we could cater for their individual needs. And I think that's also key to understand what can and can't be done, both in public cloud, but also within the platform, the BTP space.
So BTP is another very interesting topic. I'd really love to explore that a bit, because I think a lot of the early adopters of S4 who are perhaps hosting in cloud but still with an on-premise version without the BTP licenses are not yet seeing that benefit. And if I look at what SAP has done in terms of integrating to other platforms and really bringing all things SAP and other things together in one platform, how are you finding the working with BTP in terms of integration, the tools that are available? Is it just the same thing with the new name, or is it really groundbreaking?
No. There are some amazingly groundbreaking things there. I mean, for us, if we look first, the easy ones, SAC, from an analytics perspective, as part of the BTP suite, I think those offerings there, the planning offerings, what SAP are bringing to that space is huge for us as a business. We can then start to understand our data better, see what we can get out of it from an SAC perspective. So that's the analytics cloud. Integration was another one. Running old PI, PO, lots of ABAP, lots of problems, lots of work needing to be done, very expensive to build. The cloud integrator in BTP is amazing. It's got, as you said, it's open tools. We can API in anywhere, everywhere. It's got external data availability that really has helped us communicate with our suppliers and will help us with our customers going forward. So that also was a big piece to say, this is a modern way forward from an API perspective, from an integration perspective. So that was really key. And then the low code, no code, whole coding arm there. We live in the bush, 70 kilometers. If I want to go to a decent shop, I've got to drive 70 kilometers to a decent shop. How do we get young talent into that environment? We live in the bush. We live on a farm. So you're not going to find ABAPers.
Yeah.
But what we found is that with the BTP, with the low code, no code, with all the coding that is available there, we can employ people out of university. We can bring them in. They can bring their Python, they can bring all those R, they can bring all those things in the Java and help add value straight away. So that's been quite exciting for us on that side. And then the other tools. I mean, one that we found sort of almost by accident was the event mesh, an event trigger. So now we're starting to develop business solutions which are trigger based. So what happens if the stock gets too low? It's not up to some MRP person to have a look at tomorrow and see that it's low. We can trigger an event and we can let people know this is an issue. We can, and they can go out and get it.
Yeah.
Anything, any movement within SAP, we can do that. So that's a new technology that adds. It changes the way we do our processing, and that really helps. What else do we use? The list is a little bit endless, but maybe let me leave it there.
No, it really sounds exciting, and it's really awesome that you can upskill young resources that much faster to deliver the value. And those triggers are definitely amazing. No more someone sitting at a screen hoping that they see the early warning flag, and then you upgrade, and then you have to rebuild everything and all of those things. Are you finding that with having gone to public cloud, and obviously the processes are standard, but are you finding that it's also helping with things like data quality?
Yes, in an interesting way. So we're trying to keep our data as vanilla as possible. So we're trying not to add we're trying to add as little master data as possible to what SAP give as standard. Now that's difficult, especially from a business context perspective, but we're doing that in order to, as you say, keep the data clean, keep the structures clean, trying to keep things as simple as possible, but whilst giving us all the data that we need. So that's one approach, and then what SAP also offers is that we can then add custom fields. So we keep as standard as possible for the processing, for the functions, and so on. But we can add our own little bits of data here and there onto a. For example, we use a functional location as a field. A bit technical now, but we can put variety in there as a master data element, and use that for other analytics. And so it has helped us. That's not easy. That persuading people that we don't need all these fancy names, that it's okay that we call ourselves SZ10 instead of Company 1000, 2000. Yes. But once the work's done, people get used to it.
Yeah.
It is an interesting study in terms of, like we've got new number ranges for completely. So one material last week, and everybody's saying, no, we must have the same. So actually, give them a month and they know the new ones.
Yeah,
and
that's true. Yeah.
So it has helped in that space to keep our data clean.
And how do you think this might impact how SAP consultants need to skill themselves going forward? Do you see a shift there from the typical functional consulting to more of the technical stuff?
It's an interesting one. I think the shift should be more from a functional to business consulting, because technically the stuff is there. Technically how to do it is out there. I mean, the amount of information that SAP have on the web is absolutely amazing. And it's a change. So you're changing from the old kind of, as is to be, that whole change thing, what's different, how are we going to make this happen in there, to a fit to standard workshop. And so you're having a conversation to say, this is what I want. And you change the conversation to, this is what's available. How do we use it?
Okay.
And that's difficult. And when you've been consulting for 20 years and the question is, your value is you persuading people that you can do complicated things. And now we're saying, no, we want to persuade people to keep it simple, but yet be able to deliver the processes and so on. So it's a big challenge for consultants. It's a big challenge for everybody in the journey. It's not that we suddenly magic and we can just run around. But even our internal BAs and people like that, are help desk, they also have to learn this new approach and say, this is fit to standard. This works.
Yes.
It works for companies around the world. How do we make it work for us? It's a very different conversation. Change needs to be there. Not just to keep us happy, but to actually work out what those differences are, the real differences in how people work, and then make plans so that we can accommodate those. I think that's also key.
That's a very interesting view, because I remember a few years ago you did a presentation and you were still saying that there's still too much of business saying we want this and then IT building that for them. And that the move towards more self-help is not yet, speeding up. So perhaps that's an area where those consultants can play a role now to bridge that gap.
I think so, but because they need to get ahead. What we've done is we've sort of almost turned it around with that, and we've gone to business. We went for the first time, didn't have to log a call.
Yeah.
We had a program going, and we went to business and said, give us a business problem. We want to build some things. We set up teams, and we went out there, and we for the business said, wow, this is amazing, and we delivered.
Nice.
And it was quite interesting. We made everybody in IT get involved into BTP, into the low code, no code, and deliver something. And suddenly that relationship changes between business and IT in terms of we going to them. It's not this, you have to fill in a form and a change request and a work request and you follow it through. Just that slight change in process helped us a lot. We're taking that a step further now. We've got some boot camps organized, so where business and IT will go away for a couple of days off-site and thrash out ideas and learn how to do that coding and the no coding low coding and get those things going. And then we've also got lined up after that Dragon's Den idea, where business will be able to come and pitch, and the team can then choose which one they're going to use. And so it's just trying to change things up. We still got to deliver results, we still got to deliver value, but it's a different conversation, and I think that's quite key to get there, to have that conversation and to try and find that value and help the business.
That is amazing, and what is really cool about it is that it's on SAP technology, because we've seen this on other platforms, but then of course it sits outside of the ERP, so anything that you want to do that interacts with that data, then it's integration, this, that and the other. But now you can do all of that cool stuff in a platform that already has access in a controlled way. I'm wondering also if BTP will get companies quicker to start doing things that many of them have been talking about but haven't really done yet, in terms of, for instance, monetizing data or information. So creating APIs that the value chain companies can build their own apps and log into and consume that data. I wonder if this will make that change happen faster as well.
It certainly made it much easier for us to deliver value to our suppliers. I think we started with our suppliers, especially around the logistics side. Where's our trucks? How much have we delivered? All those kind of things used to be a batch job run overnight with an SMS going to the guys the next day, and they say, I need to know where my trucks are now. This is millions worth of kit lying around. How can we do it? So that certainly helped build that interaction with the suppliers much quicker than we could do in the past. That was really quite useful for us.
So how do you think the project and the move to the new technology and this whole new way of thinking supports Royal Eswatini Sugar's business strategy?
So we have two legs to our business strategy. We have a cost efficiency leg, and we have a new product and markets leg. The one is to be able to afford to do the other, really. And so we've been working on our cost efficiency now for the last 10 years, and we will continue. I don't think any business ever stops that.
No.
So, just up front, one of the things that we worked out, and it's something that is really worth looking at, is that our IT costs are going to go down. Our cost of running SAP will go down between 14 and 17%.
Sure.
That's our total cost, yes. And that for us is big. We can go to the business and say, okay, we're saving you some money. I'm not giving it back yet.
Want to
we'll find interesting things to do with it, but our SAP, should be costing us between 14 and 17% less. We're starting to see some of those costs come down. Although this year is a bad year. This year is when we've got a bit of an overrun because we're paying both ECC and S4. But so we start there. We say we can save money. So that's the one side from an efficiency. The other one is as we go, you now start looking at all these fantastic things which SAP are bringing to the party, which were available outside or add-ons or so on, things like RPA. And if we look at what we can do in our creditors department, for example, the amount of reconciliations that we can do at night, and the creditors clerks can come in the morning and just deal with issues instead of having to run the recons and so on. If we look at those kind of things, they're massive savings just in that from an RPA perspective. If we look at some of our HC processes, those can get speeded up greatly. Everybody will tell you that IT's processes can also be improved, and so we're looking to do that from an RPA perspective. So I think that on that side, if you look at what we're doing from AI, I mean, we started this journey before ChatGPT.
Yes.
Now ChatGPT is here. That was last year sometime. Now all of a sudden, I think it was February, February last year. Now we haven't signed up because we're too busy, but Joule is available in public cloud. And that's amazing. So who knows where we can go with that? I mean, the amount of data that we've got and what we can throw Joule at and so on, it is amazing. So I think if we can get the core in, we can get it clean, we can then add all these values on top of that, and I think we can add to the efficiency leg. The other side, new products, new markets. Well, the flexibility, I think, is the one thing that we can add. We're finding things like adding new companies, new things like that are much easier in the cloud than it was on premise. because the checks and balances are all built in. So we see that, and then the ability, because it's a much more modern platform, the ability to then add in, go into CRM and things like that, all in the same platform, all with the same data set. We're looking forward to doing that. Watch a shelf near you. There will be some new products launching this year.
Excellent.
So we'll let you know when they come out.
No, that's really exciting. And the cost discussion is a very interesting one, because it's not only the saving of your TCO going forward, but it's also jumping onto a rise, and especially with the added, if you phone today type things that SAP seem to be talking about, to encourage customers to move. Theoretically, that should be your last big ERP capex investment.
Yep.
Unless you're adding new modules and things, it goes on there, and the modernization and everything else
happens within
just
that
happens
OpEx.
within there. Yeah.
No, 100%.
That is a massive game changer.
And the other one, I was teasing you the other day, but we're on 2402. We're on the latest patch.
Yes.
Now, it's not just kudos, but also in terms of, we don't have to do a whole big upgrade thing.
Yeah.
Every year, every 2 years, and that's expensive, and that's complicated, and we don't need to do that. We're getting that. That's one of the advantages of the public cloud, and we get all their new innovations.
Yeah.
So once a month they're adding new product. Once every 6 months a major upgrade. I think there were 90-something enhancements in February. Our struggle is, how do we use all of those?
And that is exactly the thing. But I'm just thinking now of customers who aren't on that journey yet and are falling behind and are probably going, oh, we've got S4, but it's in the cloud, but it's an on-premise version in the cloud, and SAP, if they could only do this, that, and the other, we're going to have to build it. But meanwhile, it's already there. It's just because they're not on that journey yet. And I think something else that you mentioned when we were chatting the other day was that it's also about the resources who used to be dispersed across different areas, having to do the same thing in multiple places. All those resources can now be repurposed for innovation on a single platform.
Yeah. So we completely reorganized IT. We said when the digital journey was agreed by business, we started having a look. So we've completely reorganized our IT department for this exact purpose. Giving people opportunities in new places, they thought that they were going to be BAs for life or programmers for life.
Yeah.
And now you're saying, well, here's this opportunity. Where do you want to play?
Yeah.
That's amazing. I think a lot of it is just what people hear and they know, but everybody wants to get into two areas, security and cloud development. And those two are very, very, very important. So it has been quite fun. Training people, not much classroom-based training. The classroom's training is behind the actual product. So everything's online now.
Yeah, exactly.
So we've had to upskill, train our users to actually do online training. That's not necessarily where the most comfort is from a training perspective, but we've had to go out there, learn, and then come and play. And that ability to play in these environments also, I think, is really, really important. It's an agile approach. We can play, we do little bits at a time, we fail and we fix, and that's okay. And that I think is also a mindset change, within IT and within the business. They think we're wasting money, but we are able to deliver things much quicker if we are able to fail early. And I think that's quite important.
No, definitely. And I guess one could approach the training from a perspective of, even though it's online, you could still do it in a facilitated way. But also at some stage, that's the new world. So I guess that's where people need to move to.
Yes, we have homework clubs.
Oh, brilliant. Book clubs.
For the people on the courses, just so we can keep track, because we bought some of the licenses which allow them training access to anything.
Okay.
And how do we check what people do? So let's come together. We spend, an evening sometimes, or late afternoon at work, and where are you? Where are you up to? How are you going? So on and so forth. So a little bit of accountability there. Also in our super user forums, we also encourage people to share where they're at from a training journey perspective and so on. So you have to keep working at finding new ways of getting people to do things, and I think that's part of the fun, but it's very doable.
But it also speaks to the culture of the business to actually have that environment where people can fail, can try things, and where the learning is open. So it's really encouraging to hear that the investment is also behind that, because it doesn't help you've got all these cool tools and no one knows how to use it. No one's going to grow from there. 100%. Okay, let's see. I've asked some of these questions and you've said some of the other ones. Oh yes, that's what I wanted to ask you as well. In terms of architecture, so enterprise architecture has been a big topic for years, but I think it's now even more important with the whole clean core conversation. Do you have your own architects? Do you make use of SAP's enterprise architects? Who plays the
architect role? Yeah. It's an interesting one. So when I said earlier, we'd selected a partner to help us with a choice.
Okay.
That was one sort of tender. Who can help us? We got a partner, they helped us. Then we said, okay, now we're on the journey. Let's go out and select a partner. So we went out again to tender. And so our partner plays a bit of a role there. SAP definitely play a role. We are a very small company in a very small country. And so it's hard for us to get very high level SAP support. So we use their virtual, what are they called now? The virtual success partners, who are based in Barcelona. They're available on a part-time basis to us. We make use of them a huge amount. We've got questions, we fire there first. They are trying to encourage us to go onto the blogs and things like that, so we're doing a bit more of that, because there is a great community out there of people learning, doing, and so on. But we make really good use of those virtual success partners with SAP. Brilliant team in Barcelona. I think we've got 6 different partners in the different areas of the business. So HC, ERP, BTP, integration, agriculture. They are really useful. We're trying to build our enterprise architecture practice in-house, because it is so important. And so we've got a few of our youngsters who are very keen, and they've started the journey, and we've started with the data architecture. And so we've quite a long way through, probably about 60% of the way through getting that sorted. We started with agriculture, which is hugely data intensive. And so we've done that, and we've done finance. So we've got the factory to do, and maybe some of the sales and so on a bit later. But so we started with the data architecture. Now from that, we're actually moving into the process architecture. I think that's upside down. If you talk to the enterprise architects, they want to start at the top and work down to data last. But we thought, okay, it's going to work together. We don't have to worry so much about it not working. What's the key for us? And the key for us is the data and what we do with it. So we started at the bottom and then going to build it up. And it's working. The reporting side of it is big, and that's going to come out of it. That's where it's going to help, really. So AFSAG have asked me to put together 3 topics in a series. The topics are around our journey, S4, and we've broken it into 3 different phases almost. The first one is the business decisions. How did we get there? What were the decisions that we needed to make as a business? And I think that's really key. The second one is the technology. How then do we decide which technology to use? And then once you've got the business rationale, once you've got the technology, then you have to implement. So a little bit more detail in how we implemented, what it is that we did from a business perspective, what did we do from a project management perspective. This is what the 3 webcasts will be about. And if you've got any questions, please send them along to AFSAG. You know how to get hold of them. Contact details are available. Send the questions in, and I can try and answer them as best as I can.
So that is very interesting, and I actually think you've got something there, because I do think starting with the data means that you're not going to get to a point and then say, okay, now we've got everything ready, let's look at the data, and then you need another 18 months to sort out the data, because meanwhile that's gone in its own direction. Do you have any data scientists on board, or
no?
Not really the need for them?
No. We do have a need, but we're getting there slowly. I think we've got a crop of youngsters from university in, and I think probably some of those will turn into data scientists as we go. We're also looking to business, because to a large extent, I think it's so important that is understood by the business. It's not IT, intellectual property. That it's business. The farmers need to know what data it is, where to be looking what problems to solve and so on. So we're encouraging the business to do that, and I offered to pay for one from the business,
Awesome.
which has caused some reverberations around the business in terms of what are you doing? So volunteering to pay. I had all sorts of queries from all sorts of things, but I think it's probably better just sitting within the business.
Yeah.
But that whole data is very important. I talked earlier about the low code, no code. That's all very easy from a front end perspective, but you need that data in the back end for it to make sense. So the data is key.
And I guess it's the same with AI and all the things coming. I mean, even Joule as well, there'll be a high dependency on data, cleanliness and accuracy.
Yeah.
And you're right in that the business needs to understand how that data becomes information. And the best place for someone to understand what information it is that the data needs to provide is someone who sits in business working very closely with those teams. And I smile when I hear you say you sponsored or offered to sponsor that, because I often talk of shadow IT not being shadow IT but actually extended IT, because I think it's so pervasive, and the more business roles understand a bit more of the technical components, the better the whole solution becomes.
It is, and I think for me that's also key in terms of capability. So grey IT is there because business doesn't think we can deliver. And I think what we're trying to show now with this program, with the platform, with all the tools that are available, with the new ways of working, that we can just bring us the problems. I think one of the, especially in the agriculture business, the IoT side of it, there's tons of probes and measures and so on and so forth out there. But each of those are proprietary, and those businesses, those suppliers own the data. And I'm saying, no, you can't bring one of those onto the farm, because it's not the probe that's important, it's the data that's important.
Yeah.
So we now have to learn how to deliver what people specialize in into the business quickly, because the suppliers are always ready to come in with their stuff.
Yeah.
So that's quite an interesting journey. We're pushing ourselves quite hard, trying to keep up with those kind of things. But I think that's key for us to reduce, as you said, the grey IT, and then it becomes extended. Then we can add value where the business needs it. And I think that is important.
Well, well done on facilitating that with business, because you need them to understand what it is you're doing and why you're doing it and what everyone is working towards. Because otherwise, when the rubber hits the road, it's where can I get the quickest result at the cheapest rate, because I need the information to make those decisions. Yeah. Well, you must be in a bit of heaven in your role, and especially with all these data things, because you studied physics and mathematics.
That's right.
It brings it all together very nicely.
I've forgotten most of that stuff now, but the IT stuff keeps me young.
Yeah,
it does. It's always changing, and there's so much on offer now. I don't know where to stop reading, and I still have to find my off switch somewhere. But
solving the puzzles, yeah. I do think one does get into a bit of analysis paralysis. So therefore it also helps when you've standardized on a platform, because at least you can just go and find and work yourself through the maze in one area.
Yeah.
So people often have a question around security when they hear public cloud. What's your thoughts around that? Yeah,
so probably a bit of a strange approach, but we had a look. Said, okay, if we want to secure, just keep our on-premise secure for one, what can we do? And we do a lot, and we spend a lot of money, and we have a fairly good team, but it's a team of two. Now, they go to bed at night. They take holidays, weekends. The cloud doesn't. Those cloud providers have got people 24/7. And so we did a lot of work. We really looked out there, and we're convinced that an AWS or an Azure platform can do more than we can. I think you need to look at some of your connectivity into the cloud. But even that, there's standard tools available and so on. But the actual data on the cloud, for us, it's safer there than on-premise. It's much more difficult to get in and hack at that side than it is to get it on our premises. So there are key things that SAP offer from a RISE program. Our basis guys are sort of moving into that space.
Okay.
How can they make sure that technologically we have the right levels of access. How can they make sure that we're not opening up too many APIs or too many things to them? So that's their sort of focus has moved. But we feel generically their data sites are much more secure than what we can do for our level of spend. And that security in the cloud is part of our cost savings that we don't need to build. We don't need to do those sort of things. So we're okay. We did choose Germany as our host because they're very good POPI rules and they're very strict data rules and so on and so forth. It's not available in South Africa at the moment or Southern Africa. So we chose Germany because that's a really good, safe place to be as well. So part of our thinking that we're doing on the security side.
And I guess it also, so even someone who wants to go with RISE but on private cloud, I mean, you still have the choice of going on with any of the hyperscalers.
Yes.
And that's facilitated through BTP.
Yes.
Out of the box. So it's a very different world. Awesome. Then for your project, I mean, this is groundbreaking, earth-shattering stuff. What project methodology did you use?
Yeah, a very, very interesting one because we've combined two, which is the project managers are in a bit of a spin.
I can imagine.
So we use the standard SAP Activate.
Yeah.
It's there. It's powerful. A tip, get into Calm early. The cloud access, because the whole Activate is there with all your resources, all your tools and so on. We didn't, so we're running catch up. But we're following the SAP Activate methodology, which I think is solid, it's key. Then on the business side, part of our different way of working, we introduced a Deloitte concept called mission-led teams. So we have lots and lots of little teams running around on individual missions, delivering things for the program. So we have a program, we have 3 project managers internally, we have a project manager from our support consultants, but then we have 7 or 8 MLTs currently running, all with their own leaders, but it's a leaderless system. And there are disciplines that we run. It's a safe space. We do it under what's called a dojo. It's a safe place, lots of practice. We're very intentional about people being present, about preparing, and so on. We hold each other accountable in those key sort of soft issues on a regular basis. And we then take, say, the Activate methodology and say, we need to achieve this. Here's your backlog. We use a Kanban approach. Here's your backlog. You guys run away, talk about it, and tell us when you're going to do it and who's going to do it. So there are no deadlines within it, and there's no sort of conscription. It's voluntary. And that change of approach has changed a ownership question. So many of these projects are like IT. IT owns this thing because IT are delivering the project methodology. Okay, it's business decisions, but now we're saying, okay, business, this is what we think you need to be doing. This is what we need for the project. How are you going to best achieve that? What are you going to put on the table? Which people are you going to give us to help deliver that? And it's changed. It's for the project managers, it keeps them awake at night because they still have deadlines. Yes, we have a go live. The go live is not moving. And MLTs, come on, we need this data from you. So their role becomes less sort of govern than nudge. You still need the governance. So it's a bit messy. But we feel the benefits with bringing the business on board. Those are all business led. All of those are business leaders. We do have IT in there, and we do have some of the consultants in there, but it's all business. They set up their own agendas, their own meeting schedules. It's done there. So we feel that has really added value. And with all places, so maybe we've got 7 or 8 running, 1 or 2 of them are dysfunctional, but then you step in and you help, and you see what's going on and how can we assist, and we try and move forward. The biggest problem that we've had is everybody wants to be a part, actually. So we have too big, send us the decision makers, or send us, we talk about, give us the B team. Don't give us the A team. We don't want the people that are available. We want the best. So give us the B team, give us a small team, and we run with it. So anyway, we deal with the problems as they come up.
I really like it because I can see how that would change the ownership and just the emotional investment in the product that you're building and the pride, as opposed to getting something from IT and then saying that actually this is not exactly what I wanted, even though thought I wanted it, but now that I've got it, it's not an exact fit.
Yeah.
It definitely, and that would probably also put you on that maturing journey much quicker, so that you can extract even more value out of the tools.
And what we find as well, that the other positive there is that we've got more people who know what's going on. Because you've got these lots of smaller teams running around, there's a wider spread of what's actually happening in the project. So that's been quite good. And we asked them to be evangelists. From a proxy perspective, we... that was the wrong word, but from a I'll think of it now, a sort of almost like a sponsorship perspective. We use the ones that are keen in MLTs, and then we use them to roll out to the next group. So from a Kanban perspective, we do things in small groups. We do a process by process methodology, but also then by department. So we roll out one workshops, enterprise asset management.
Yeah.
And the people that are keen, they were involved. We move them then onto the next workshop, and they help run out that one.
Okay.
And that also is part of our cost saving from a consultancy perspective, because all the consultants focuses on one group.
Yes.
And then the next one is only if there's something very different, and you've not so many. So those rest of them are run out internally. We had a go live last week Thursday. I think there were 2 consultants on the call. They did none of the work. They were there just in case something fell over. So that helps with bring our project costs down as well.
That is really awesome, because that also builds the culture of how you do things going forward throughout the company in a consistent way.
And data ownership, because now the business are there, putting it in, going live, using it the next day in small batches, not a big. We're going to give them a hand, but no big waterfall.
Yes.
Small go lives on a regular basis.
Oh no, that really sounds awesome. If you were to redo this project or this journey, is there anything that you would do differently?
Just what we've talked about now, probably, in terms of, so part of the initial decision with Exco in 2020 was not to do a big bang.
Okay.
So we said, okay, how do you run a project without a big bang? How do we do it? We don't have divisions. I can't do one farm and then another farm because we work together.
Yeah.
So that we came up with a process by process approach. It's been good. I think we've generated a lot of technical debt now which is our system of record. And now you're interfacing 2 systems.
Yes.
And as I said earlier, the cloud integrator platform's wonderful. It's so easy to get data into S4. It's terribly easy. So we can pull data from EC into S4 very easily.
Yeah.
Now we're saying, okay, but now we're transacting S4. I need that data to be replicated back to ECC from a financial record perspective. 2 problems. SAP are not so keen to give you all the ways you pull your data out of S4, and there are license issues there that you have to think about. But then also you've now got to go back to you still use the cloud platform integrator, but you've got to go and write ABAP now. So there's a lot of technical debt we've built there, which is expensive, and it's also been our area of largest failure is making sure that the 2 systems are aligned. And this has been over a long time. So I think in 2 weeks' time we would have been going live for a year with these regular go lives. And so for a year now we've had to try and keep 2 systems going. I hate parallel runs. I'm not a fan of them, but we've been doing it for a year. So I would definitely try and change. I'm sure there is a different way of doing it, so you don't need to do a big bang, but maybe not process by process, or maybe different choice of process. I think that's an area that we would have a look at.
Okay, thanks for sharing that. Oh yes, SAP have got tools, so you don't typically now have your basis consultants and they do reports and for all of those usual things that used to take time. They've got an interface or a login that you use, and from there you can monitor your system. How are you finding that?
It's fantastic, and so from a technical perspective, so it's all in one place. It's my SAP. You go there for licensing, you go there for S users, you go there for your system uptime, you go there for your, we use what's called CPA, so Cloud Platform Enterprise Agreement. We have some money that we can spend in many different places in BTP over time, and we need to see how we're doing, and we go in and see consumption. So it's license consumption and cloud consumption, all in one place. So it is fantastic. We're sort of having to change, we talk about changing roles. So that is now happening from the operations team, not from the technical team. Because the tools are available, I don't need a technical person to interpret. I now say, operational guys, you need to go in there and have a look, and you need to make sure that these are running. So we've had to train up some of the operational people in that space. But it is amazing what is there and what's available.
Yeah.
You have to watch out. Service sprawl in the virtual environment is real. All of us in IT have to learn to deal with that and manage it and control it. Now we have these tools and they are amazing. It's so easy to spin up a new instance of this or a new instance of that. Gosh, So that in the BTP space, suddenly somebody's decided they've got something new. They want to try a new product. There are free versions available. Whoops, it gets fired up. So you have to manage that quite carefully. Okay. But the MySAP, that homepage, it's all there, it's available, it's real time, so it is very useful.
And it's also, you're almost doing DevOps as well without calling it that, because you've got your guys monitoring in the operation environment, so the minute something starts on the development side, you've already
see
got
it coming in.
Yeah.
We're trying to do DevOps. We're learning that journey in this new wild space, helping us with the sort of move, the Kanban move. We're moving away from waterfall. That project is actually sort of almost fallen behind. We're moving so quickly on the actual functional side that we're struggling to keep up. But we have to do it. It's important going forward that we do have those links and everything is there.
Yeah, I do think over time, when you get that right, it definitely does speed up things.
Yeah. And with the citizen development, it's also going to be key. Because we can't just throw the doors open and say, develop. So we're trying to build that into our whole low-code, no-code programming environment.
Yeah.
New stuff, new challenges.
Definitely, every day. Do you think that, because a lot of the SAP customers are still reluctant to move. They're reluctant to get onto RISE, whether it's public cloud or private cloud or hybrid, because that's, of course, the other configuration. You could have some of your standard processes in public and some of your more custom processes in private if you want to go. So there's lots of options. Do you think the reluctance of SAP customers to move is holding back SAP's ability to provide the innovation that we're asking for?
It is. People say, ECC, they're going to extend past 2025. Now it's going to be 2027, 2029, and I think that's costing SAP a huge amount of money to keep that environment going. I think the whole public-private on-premise, where do SAP put the energy from an AI perspective and so on? They can build AI, but you can't use it if your data is not in line with what they've got. So if you're running your own shop, then that becomes difficult, or it becomes more expensive, or it becomes third party. So I think so. I think more of an issue for me is, what are you doing to your business?
Yes.
Are you not holding your business behind by not starting on this journey? And that's key for me in terms of, what is your business going to look like in 5 years' time, 10 years' time? I know what I'm going to look like in 10 years' time. I'll be sitting on the beach or on a mountain somewhere. But what's your business going to look like? And I think that's almost more important than this thing about SAP are forcing an upgrade. They're not. They're offering a future.
Yes.
And I think that's so key. It's scary. It's a little bit threatening. It's a little bit unknown, but it's unknown if you don't make the effort almost. The stuff is out there. The amount of information on what SAP are doing, S4HANA, RISE, on the cloud is absolutely amazing. You could just read all day and not actually get any work done. It's there. It's out there. And how do you get that? And how do you encourage your staff to get out there and learn and see what's going on? How do you interact with SAP? I've always seen them as a strategic partner. I've taken my MD, and he's had sessions with the SAP MD. They must interact at that level. I do it with my suppliers as well. If you see them as a strategic partner and you work at it, rather than saying, I'm going to wait for SAP to tell me stuff, they're very interactive and they're very keen to move and move people. So I think they're going beyond where they've gone in the past. I talk about the new SAP. I think the relationship with the customers that they want to have is new and different.
Yes.
We've had fantastic success working with them on the ERP side, but also on something like agriculture as a vertical.
Yeah.
Talking to them directly. This is what we would like to be developed, and they're developing. Right at that sort of coal face of innovations for our industry. They're happy to talk to us, and they're happy for us to do it. And we're not a big company. We're not throwing millions of dollars at SAP to develop things. We're just working with them, and we're giving them data, and we give them opportunities, and I think that's a kind of a change that I'd love to see within the sort of IT professionals in Southern Africa. How are we engaging with SAP? How much of pressure are we putting on them? How much are we asking from them? How much are we giving back? And I think for me that's part of the fun. It's interacting with everybody, getting the whole thing to work together for the benefit of your business.
Yeah, and it's actually an awesome way of doing this, because in the old days we used to have the industry solutions.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of them were developed by partners who play in that ecosystem. So for SAP to now involve clients directly from a business perspective, I think that is definitely going to be a game changer.
It has, and we've seen that. We use the latest tool, SAP Intelligent Agriculture, and we've seen that grow from scratch.
Yes.
There was nothing.
Yeah.
They had a consortium a couple of years back, of companies putting in dollars to try and build something. It didn't kind of take off. SAP decided we're doing it, and they started from scratch. And their approach was, I think, fantastic. They started from a data side. What does agriculture data look like? They went out there, they found out, they invested, they built the data structures.
Sure.
Then they built the front end, then they built the processes. So working with not just us, but agriculture companies around the world, they're involved. We've got I think there are about 13 of us on a customer council that get together with them on a monthly basis.
Sure.
And talk about where to develop. And for me, that's so exciting. If that's your strategic partner, from an IT perspective, that they're prepared to get involved and put that sort of money in and that time and that investment, and it's feeding back for us, so it's all good.
No, it definitely is a whole new world. Okay, I think I've covered all the questions, or you have answered all the questions. So I did see a publication around you winning some innovation awards. Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, thank you. It is amazing. So we won 2 innovation awards out of the 16 this year for the innovation award in the agriculture space. So we won as the best industry partner from an agriculture space. And then we won the overall innovation award for the things that we're doing, working together with them. It's fantastic. We've got a lovely team. I don't do all the stuff. I've got a very good team there. As you say, we were talking earlier, I've got a business who's prepared to get involved. And we have business people that interact with SAP at all different levels. So, it's a thrill for us. We're very proud. It's going to go up on the wall. We'll see some pictures in our social media coming soon. It was only just announced. That really is fantastic.
No, that's awesome. Well done. And I know that we've got some a webinar series coming up with you as well. So I think there will probably be people with lots and lots of questions. So I'm really looking forward to those interactions as well. But thank you so much for your time, Rob. This has been enlightening, very exciting. I'm sure a lot of this is very different to people's perceptions of what's going on in the SAP market at the moment. So thank you very much.
It's a pleasure. All the best.
Thank you.